Good afternoon. This is Julia Widup with Writer's Journey TV, and I have with me today Sandy Bobal-Zuniga, and she has a story to tell. Starting in her early 20s, she suffered from depression, and just tell us how that all started, Sandy.
Well, thanks, Julia. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me on. I am honored and privileged to be here with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you for being on.
And basically, back in well, life, I had chronic depression, but nobody knew it. And my parents thought maybe I was a difficult child or, something was going on. And I didn't know what it was. I wasn't a horrible child or anything, but nothing seemed to make me happy. So it wasn't until my 20s in college that I was actually diagnosed with chronic depression. And that was, I had depression in my family. My mom suffers it. We've had different things in my grandfather and possible suicide and all this other stuff. And so I knew it was in there, but nobody knew that I was suffering from it. So it was I was sleepwalking through life in a chronic depression until it got so bad in college that I was suicidal myself, and I was trying to take my life, and I'm telling you, it's a hard place to be.
I know, yes, I had some problems with that myself. And did the depression ever go away?
No, I don't think depression ever really goes away. You can find things to sort of manage it, whether it be prescription drugs or behavior modification or something else. I've got my own little philosophy on depression in general, which is it always, it's kind of inside of us. We do have outside factors that influence how we see our depression, but I really think depression is very internal. And I don't know if you had the same, feeling, but everything was, it's kind of about us and what's happening in my life and all that kind of stuff. And it's that you internalize everything and you make things into certain way, whether it's good or bad. But it's all inside. Did you feel that?
Yeah, I think I tried to find reasons for it, but mine just suddenly went away when I went through menopause.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe that'll happen for you. I mean, being old has been the best years of my life.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah, it hasn't happened with my mom, but depression is a chemical reaction going on in your brain, and how it starts, we don't know, but basically, maybe it was hormonal with you.
Evidently, something like that. Although it
Hmm.
also coincided with sleeping, swimming with the dolphins.
Oh,
And
wow.
swam with the dolphins, and I thought, hey, I don't need to take antidepressants anymore. So I just quit.
Well,
But
that seems like a much healthier option to me.
yeah, it wore off though. You have to keep swimming with them every so often.
So you're going to move down to Florida, huh?
Yes. So then, after being suicidal for so long, tell us what happened.
So basically, during the Depression, in college, it was funny because I had people around me. I played volleyball for the school. I mean, I was with these girls every day, and not a single one of them said anything to me, tried to do anything. It was as if I didn't even exist, which is a very sad place for anybody to be. And, my heart breaks for anybody who feels that way. So I eventually wound up in the hospital for about 3 weeks. I was supposed to go for 1 week, and I was still functional in general, but I knew it was time just because I had stopped going to class, and um, school was important to me and everything, and I kept putting pressure on myself. So there's no way I wanted to keep going that way. So I wound up going into the hospital and then taking that trimester at the end of my last year and graduating just in the summer instead of in the spring. And the problem with that was, um, you get out of the hospital, you're not cured, and antidepressants only take you so far. Basically, I was living like this, and antidepressants helped me from going down, but I was never up. And I never took drugs or anything. I thought, man, life is too hard to add something else in there that you have to recover from. I mean,
Right.
really. So I wound up just trying to figure it out myself. And then, like I said, I went into the hospital. I had a doctor and everything. The antidepressants really weren't helping much. I wound up depression was clouding my judgment and my decisions and stuff. So I wound up getting married to a guy that was very abusive, and I went into hiding to get away from that all during the depression. Now, I was supposed to be better since I was in the hospital, but, I was still making poor decisions. The thing that had helped me in general was I had a counselor that was trying to do cognitive therapy on me, behavioral therapy. Have you ever
Right.
heard of it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, she did a poor job. It was basically, well, what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? And as a depressed person, you're just like, are you kidding me? I'm going to tell you what the worst is going to happen. So it didn't work, but I got a book she recommended, which was called The Feeling Good Book, the New Behavioral Therapy, I believe, from David Burns. And basically, I read that on my own, and he had 10 misconceptions in there of depression. And it was funny, as you were reading the book, you thought, oh my gosh, that is me. Oh my gosh, that is me. And the 10 misconceptions I wrote on index cards, and I brought them with me everywhere I went. And as I was slipping into a depression, I would go ahead and go find out which misconception I was thinking.
Mhm.
And it had helped. It was a tool in my toolbox. It wasn't a cure. It's a tool in the toolbox.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. Okay. And what was that book and that author again?
I believe it's David Burns, and it's the Feeling Good book.
Okay.
And I forget what the subtitle is. It's something like the New Behavioral Therapy or something like that. It's like at least 30 years old, 20, 30 years old, but the concepts still apply today.
Yes. Well, I'm so glad you have a few tips because so many people do have depression and it can be a life or death. It's a very serious illness.
It, it is. And I don't want anybody ever to discount it as, oh, they're just feeling sad or something like that. It is very serious. And the bad part, like I said, people internalize it. And it really is, these people need to feel um, like they matter. And they do. They absolutely do. I don't ever want anybody to feel like they don't. And that is one step to help.
Right. Right. And they can help other people even when they're feeling badly.
Yes, they can.
And
Which is,
that's what you're trying to do, right?
yes, it is.
And tell us what happened after that.
So basically, if we fast forward 20 years, I've been kind of, like I said, sleepwalking and doing the best I can um, until about a year and a half ago, or about a year ago, when I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. And it was a total shock. I didn't know it was atypical cells and it wasn't supposed to be cancer and all that. And then all of a sudden it went from that through stage 1, and then I had so many tumors. It eventually was stage 2 and in my lymph nodes and stuff.
What does
And
stage 2 mean? People say they're stage this or that, and I don't know what that means.
Stage 2 is, um, with cancer, you have, usually it's 4 stages. So you can go from 0, like, which is atypical, and that's just cells that aren't formed to show cancer yet. And stage 1 is the um, first first severity all the way to stage 4. Stage 4, a lot of times they, even conventional treatments and stuff may not help. You're kind of at the end of life, sort of. In the medical side, that's what they kind of say. So it doesn't mean that if you have stage 1 that this isn't serious. It absolutely is. It just, it's how far advanced it is and how much medical treatment can be given to help you live longer, in a sense.
Okay, okay. And then stage 2 is what?
That was just the severity. So I had a couple of different kinds. Some tumors were invasive, some were non-invasive. So we didn't know really what that meant, but it did wind up spreading to my lymph nodes, which at that point that could carry anywhere in the body.
Okay, so that's pretty serious.
Yeah. Now I don't know if it is or not. I didn't do anything extra. I did go through the chemo, and I had a single mastectomy. I did go ahead and remove the breast that had 5 tumors in it, and that was a difficult decision. At the time, I was thinking, of course, the depression was just like, oh my gosh, what the heck?
Yeah.
It's now I have really a reason to be depressed, and what am I going to do about it? The thing is with me though, I've got fortitude and perseverance. I may not have any other skills, but I have those two. And at this time, somebody telling me, whether it was a doctor or an illness or something, kind of telling me I've got sort of an expiration date, type of thing, I didn't take well to that. I'm not the type that says, oh, you can't do this, and then I'm going to say, oh, I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
But I am the type that says, I like to make my own decisions. And so back in my 20s, I was kind of making my own decision, trying to end my life for various reasons. And right now it was like this nightmare of cancer kind of was waking me up. And I know that there are plenty of people who say that as well. It was just like, oh, the best thing that ever happened to me and everything. I'm telling you, it's not the best thing that ever happened.
But it did wake you up from your sleepwalking.
Yes, it did. And I was always looking for a purpose in my life. Basically, a few years ago, I went through infertility treatments and stuff, found out, I couldn't have any children, and obviously I won't have a legacy to carry on. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. Kids are another discussion where you never know how they're going to turn out. But that would have been, one thing that would have been nice. So when I got diagnosed, I realized that I know I have a lot of inner strength, obviously, or else I wouldn't be here. And there are women that don't, maybe, or don't have it right now. Although when you're faced with an illness, a life-threatening illness, you really find out what kind of strength you have, and it's just amazing. So I thought those women who may not have the strength, what if they pulled on mine? I've got big shoulders here. I can bear a lot. And if these women really need help, I want to be able to help them, and I want to find my purpose in life. I always knew that it was to love and support people. I just didn't know what that meant until basically the cancer diagnosis. So I realized with depression, and it's helping me manage the depression, because with depression, I think if you can get outside of yourself and help others, that helps you with your depression, because it's no longer about you.
Right.
So that is basically where I was going. And then I am always a behind the scenes person. I am not in front of the camera. I've helped, clients basically, behind the scenes and support them. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, I think I need to get in there and show people how I'm going through this cancer diagnosis
Mhm.
and really let them inside. And I thought, but that's out of my comfort zone. What am I going to do? And then I said, this is too big. This is bigger than me. And it is. And it's just, the ability to share and to really connect with women who are struggling so bad, whether, it's with their cancer, but it's also they're getting depressed, they're getting sad and all that, and I can help them on both sides. And basically, I say I'm the CHO, and that's the Chief Hug Officer. I just don't think there's enough hugs in the world, and to be honest, even back with the depression, if I got more genuine hugs, not hugs that lead to anywhere, just, someone that really cared and gave you a really big hug and just looked you in the eye and said, I'm so glad you're here, would have made a huge difference. And I want to do that for others.
Wonderful. So what made you choose to take your campaign to helping people with cancer rather than people with depression?
I knew you were going to ask that. Well, we were talking offline in general, I don't feel, like you have this hero's journey story
Hmm.
series, and like I said, I'm so grateful that you wanted to interview me for it. But I don't really feel much like, a big hero. I just am a woman getting through normal things every day in hopefully a positive way. And so with depression, my mom still suffers from depression, and I've tried to help her in general, and I'm not doing such a good job. She's not responding.
Well,
So,
because you can't probably.
right. So I try the best I can. The thing is, you have to have something inside you. There has to be something in your gut that knows that things can be better. I call myself a realistic optimist. I always thought I was a pessimist, but I'm wrong. I'm a realistic optimist. We know that life is cruel, it's negative, there's bad things out there, but we still keep love in our heart, and we keep going and knowing there's something better in spite of it all. So that's what you've got to have inside to be able to get on with depression and help manage it. With my mom, it's not happening. So I thought, well, I'm a failure, which is not a good way to think.
No.
So I thought, you know what? Maybe it's, helping people with depression. Maybe that's not it, but maybe it's helping them through their breast cancer. And so I thought, let me start there. It's not that I won't, help anyone with depression. It's just a much deep-seated disease that takes a lot. It takes a village, really, to help somebody with depression. It's not just a one-person thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I suppose I don't imagine you could get a cancer diagnosis without being somewhat depressed about it.
Right, right. And it's like what, at that time it's what comes first. Is it the chicken or the egg? Did the cancer diagnosis cause a depression? Or in my case, it was depression and then on top of it I got the cancer diagnosis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you have a website people can go to.
I do. It's called My Personal Breast Cancer Journey.com.
Okay.
And basically, I'm telling you, Julia, you would love it even if you don't have cancer.
What
There's,
that all's on there?
I've got the videos that I had started from when I was newly diagnosed and went through all the different phases and stuff, and I keep adding them. But I wanted to make sure I did them as I was going through them, because as you get further away from something, it has less of an impact. So I give people tips and tricks. Basically, I did a medical and holistic intervention on my diagnosis, and at My Personal Breast Cancer Journey, we're basically a no judgment zone. I have people that are truly just medical, just holistic, and I'm somewhere in between. I did a holistic intervention for myself for 30 days to see if I could make a change in the cancer I had. And I didn't, but I knew that, not because I'm a control freak, but I do like to be in control of some things.
Mm-hmm.
But basically I wanted to see if I could, and since I couldn't, I was like, okay, at least I did what I thought was right. There are no right or wrong in cancer. I'm telling you, there are people, and so they're on either side, and they're like, don't do this and don't do that, and those people in the middle were like, holy cow, that's not fair.
Yeah, that would be difficult. You
It
don't know
is.
what you would do. I don't know
Right,
what
so,
I would do. I
right.
really don't.
If you Google, forget it. You are just like inundated with all kinds of things, and you think you've got something straight, and then all of a sudden, you read something else, and now you're like, I have no idea. So basically, what I want to do is have the women, they can look at my videos and look at other things, but find what resonates with them and really go for it, and then make your decision, whether it's surgery, just holistic, or somewhere in between, whatever you do, make your decision with conviction and stay with it. I don't want any woman to make their decision and then second guess, worry.
Right.
We do the best we can with the information we have, and then we go through. So on my site, I've got, like I said, videos. I do want people that come that are newly diagnosed, because I think it's helpful. And then, if they need help, there's so much love going on in there. And I know that sounds very woo-woo, but it just warms my heart. It's not just me. On our Facebook page, we have different interactions, and these women are coming in and just supporting each other, and that's really what I wanted to do. I've got some other things we're working on. Blankets, where the My Personal Breast Cancer Journey team is working on blankets, and basically what we want to do is wrap every woman we can up in a hug. And
Oh,
those blankets are so
nice.
warm. I just can't wait to get them out. We're still making them, but that's one thing. And then if somebody is going through a mastectomy, I created these mastectomy drain neck bands, which is kind of like a band that you put around your neck and then you hold the drains. I send them with carabiners and stuff, and you just hook them on there. And then you can put them underneath your clothes and go out when you need to. You can take a shower, all kinds of stuff. There are other things out there on the market, a little more expensive, and they're longer term, but this is a short term fix. You need something, and it helped me. So I'm like, okay, I want every woman who, if they decide a mastectomy, I want every woman to have a drain neck band,
Mm,
just to make it easier on them. And then hopefully get a warm blanket to be hugged, and,
yeah.
you
How
know,
and how could they find your Facebook page?
we're on Facebook.com/My Personal Breast Cancer Journey.
Okay. So,
And basically, we're in this together. This is not, I mean, it started off as my personal,
uh-huh.
journey, but it's not. We're in this together. This is every woman who comes and interacts. It's their story too, and it's just amazing because not every single diagnosis is the same. We'll have some commonalities, but everybody has, they react to it different. Their bodies react to it different. It's just, there's not a one size fits all, and it's just wonderful how we can all come together and just, support each other and give virtual hugs and know that there's somebody there at all times.
Yeah, that sounds like a wonderful group. So
It is
your website's mypersonalbreastcancerjourney.com, and the Facebook is facebook.com mypersonalbreastcancerjourney.
correct.
Okay, and we're almost out of time. Do you have anything else you'd like to add before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I want to add just a few things. One thing, although I don't always conform to it because I am still struggling with depression, but remember, life is a gift that you have to open each day like a child on Christmas.
Yes, that's that would be the one thing that I discovered about depression is stay in the present as much as you can. Don't think about the past, don't think about the future.
Right. Yeah. Now I'm a future thinker. I don't live for today. I live for tomorrow, which is why that diagnosis really hit me hard. But tomorrow is another day. We're going to unwrap that day, and we just gotta figure out how we can approach it with enthusiasm. And again, when you have something else to look forward to, if you're helping somebody else, regardless, it doesn't have to be a website, it doesn't have to be anything. It could be your neighbor, an elderly neighbor who needs groceries or something. Just get outside of yourself and look to other people and see how you can give. As you give, you get. As we've heard it before, and it's not just a cliche. It really is something for life.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Sandy, for being on the show. And I will look forward to checking out your Facebook page and your website.
Great. Thank you so much, Julia, for having me on. I have eternal gratitude to you for having me on here.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. And I'm sending